Hello fans, collectors, investors, welcome back to Iconic Baseball. I'm Iconic Al, and I've been looking forward to making this video for well over a year. As I finished up my top 100 countdown, I was quietly completing my 90's Refractor project. This is a curated collection of 90's refractors of top 50, top 60 players on my list that I really wanted to represent that era of cards, which I've come to know as the innovation era. When you look back at the decade of the 90's, really all the modern advances that we sort of have today in the hobby essentially came out of that decade, from pack-pulled autos to relic cards to parallels themselves, serial numbering, refractors, grading itself, all came out of that decade of the 90's. And so I want to sort of celebrate that in this video and take you through that era from 89 to about 99, that decade of cards, and some of the nostalgic sets for me, and some of the cards that I have chosen to curate and keep in my collection to represent those advances in the hobby. It was great competition between a few different brands of cards like Donruss, Fleer, Upper Deck, and Topps. And it's interesting to see that that competition really led to advances in the hobby itself, which we don't really see now that kind of Topps Fanatics owns everything. But come with me. This is going to be a bit of a longer video, but come with me as we walk through the innovation era through my 90's Refractor project.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and cracker jack. I don't care if I never get back. Let me root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
All right, I am so excited to make this video, you don't even know. Let's start at the very beginning of the innovation era as we know it. In my opinion, it goes back to this idea of the premium set. Previous to that, you had a lot of 80's overproduced, quote unquote, junk wax, high pop era stuff that was produced without this idea of quality, without the idea of premium of any kind. It was just printed on cardboard, base sets, overproduction, get them out, and there was no sense of creating a premium product. That all changed in 1989 with this landmark set, 89 Upper Deck, and this card in particular, which really started off what I consider to be the innovation era. So that 89 set with higher quality stock, really nice card stock, really nice photo quality, a hologram on the back. This one really changed the game, and I think kicked off a competition between card companies and an idea of quality, quality over quantity. Now, granted, they produced a lot of these, but I think this was a landmark release, the 89 Upper Deck set. So that leads us into other quality sets, such as the 90 Leaf set, which I think was another landmark set. You had the 90 Leaf Frank Thomas rookie. At the time, the Dave Justice was a big card in that set. So you had the Thomas, you had the Justice, and then you had other players like Sammy Sosa, which were in that set. So the 90 Leaf set followed up that 89 Upper Deck set, and they provided innovation like photos on the back. And that really hadn't been there before. So higher quality stock, nice photo quality, just a more premium release. And I remember these packs weren't cheap when these came out. They were considered, like the Cadillac packs, versus your Ford Topps packs, that you get for 50 cents. These things were like a few bucks or a couple bucks to get a Leaf 90 pack. So this was part of that movement toward premium sets. Upper Deck would keep going along those same lines in 1990 with the Find the Reggie, the very first pack-pulled auto in 1990, which I don't have one, but you know what I'm talking about. Find the Reggie in 1990 was really the first pack-pulled autograph release, followed up in 1991 with Find the Nolan. So they had a Nolan Ryan pack-pulled autograph the next year. This is the same year of the Michael Jordan SP1, the very first card picturing Michael Jordan hitting a baseball in batting practice. One of my all-time favorite cards of this era. But yeah, again, They still had those photos on the back, higher quality release. A classic release of the era. And then that leads us into another premium set, 91 Stadium Club. This was a landmark release from Topps. Amazing photo quality. I believe it was all on Kodak paper. So they really had an eye for photography on this set. The release had the rookie card of the player on the back, which is pretty cool. Like all that color and attention to quality on the back, and just beautiful photo quality on all these. So all moving toward premium here. Also in 91, you had your first serial numbered release, which came in the Elite Series, more specifically the Legend Series. All of these were serial numbered. The Elite Series cards were numbered out of 10,000. These Legend Series, which is what this Nolan Ryan is, were numbered out of 7,500. So this was really a landmark release in that the very first serial numbering occurred in 1991 Donruss. And just a beautiful set of Dick Perez artwork and the very first Elite Series cards, which, you know, 91 Donruss was a pretty low quality product, but to have the possibility to pull a chase card like this, very, very tough pull back in the day, these Elite cards. And I remember these were sort of like, yeah, right cards when I was a kid. We never would have owned an Elite card, you know, back in 91, 92, 93. They were kind of just like, you know, pie in the sky fantasy cards, really. So you had the 91 Elite here, the first year. And then that moved us into 92, which here's an example of the 92 Elite. That's a Will Clark right there. It's one I actually pulled from a pack, from a box my brother gave me a couple of years ago. So I actually had the pleasure of pulling an Elite card for the very first time in my life. That was no pun intended here, a thrill to pull that card. So that was pretty cool. Another great example of that is this Wade Boggs 92 Elite card. These were numbered out of 10,000, but very, very condition sensitive, very hard to find in high grade like this. So if you check pops on these, they are not high. And then let's skip ahead to 93. Here's an example of the 93 Elite set, which is my personal favorite. Beautiful cracked ice look here to this one. That's a Bonds and a BGS 9. Yeah, just a beautiful series of cards here. All these Elite cards are just so amazing. So you have the first year of Elite 91, second year of Elite 92, third year of Elite 93, and I think, you know, the three most beautiful years in the Elite Series run. So that is innovation right there. There was nothing serial numbered before the Elite Series. These effects that they were able to get on these cards, I mean, compared to your base 92 Donruss, I mean, nothing spectacular about that set at all. But then to pull something like this out of that same pack, I mean, what a phenomenal pull that would be, you know? But yeah, so that's really the first real chase cards that I can remember were those Elite cards from the Donruss years. And 93 is really when, well, let's go back to 92 real quick. The first parallel occurred in 92 Topps, where you had, you know, your 92 Topps base, then you had your 92 Topps Gold. So the Topps Gold really started in 92, which was another big innovation in the innovation era. For the first time in a pack, you know, you had your base, and then you had a possibility of pulling a more rare, limited Topps Gold. And that would carry through, you know, to present day in Topps. The next year, introduced the Derek Jeter rookie card, which is also available in the Topps Gold, which I think is probably the first important Topps Gold card, because you have, you know, first ballot Hall of Fame rookie card now that has a Topps Gold parallel. So that's a pretty cool innovation right there. Also in 93, you had the Fleer Flare set, which I think was a beautiful set. I mean, thick cardstock, glossy, no borders, really classy look to them. So you had the Ripken, the Bonds, but this 93 Flair set was just amazing. My brother, my dad, and I collected this whole set just because we loved the look of it. No big rookies in it, but what a beautiful set that is. 93 Flair. And then the chase card in that set was the Wave of the Future, Mike Piazza. So it's a second year Piazza, but the big chase card was this Wave of the Future, Mike Piazza. And anyone who was collecting in that time remembers how big of a deal that card was. Because Piazza was, you know, he was the sensation back in 93. He kind of bust onto the scene, and no one had really ever seen a catcher hit the way he hit. He was a middle of the order guy at catcher, which is not common. So that's 93 Flair. And then, as you're seeing a theme here, 93, it all kind of hits. Then you have 93 SP, which is the year that Derek Jeter rookie card came out. And you had a beautiful 93 SP set. This is the foil, the Jeter. Then you had guys like Maddox, guys like Griffey. I mean, just beautiful photography. This is a premium set. And this is what I'm talking about. This is innovation right here. This is, beautiful photography, color photos, little foil in the corner, high quality. These were not cheap packs either, and they still aren't, thanks to that Jeter. But again, this is what I'm talking about with, innovation. 93 was really a big year for innovation. And in that same 93 SP set, you had Platinum Power, one of the very first reemergences of the die cut. There was die cuts back in 1888, but this is really the first reemergence of the die cut in the modern hobby, I'm pretty sure. So you had this beautiful Platinum Power set, which was really the only insert in 93 SP. But I have a lot of nostalgia around these. I collected this Dave Justice card back in the day, and so I've really had a good time going back and adding some of these to my collection, filling in the holes, so to speak. But those are some of my favorite 93 SP cards. And then, you know where I'm going with this. we're driving toward this 90s Refractor project, and it all started with 93 Finest. So the 93 Finest set was a revelation. You had, my boy David Justice. He was the guy that I really collected. Here's my copy of the 93 Finest Dave Justice, and a copy of a Kevin Young that I got signed at the ballpark back in the day. But talk about premium sets. This thing is all chromium. We've never seen anything like it. This set, and I've said it before, maybe compared to the 52 Top set, when it came out, it was different. It was something higher quality than anyone had ever seen before. And I think that's what this set will be remembered for, a leap in quality and innovation. So there's a couple of the base cards from the set, and quite possibly one of the best cards I'll show today is the Finest Refractor of George Brett. And this was the guy that I chose to represent the Finest Refractor set in 93. Just a beautiful card. And these things just hit so nice. The shine on these is just beautiful. Here we have, first ballot Hall of Famer, a top 3 third baseman of all time, George Brett, a generational star, 3,000 hit club member. And what a cool 93 Finest Refractor to have. So thankful to own this. So that'll go right in the middle here. So that's what I have sort of to represent the 93 Finest set. Just a landmark set, I think, in hobby history. And I think these will hold up quite well going forward in the future, because they only produced, the number that I always hear is 241 of every player. So there aren't a lot of these out here, especially in these high grades. You just don't see that many 93 Finest Refractors graded in 9s. So I'm really pumped to have this card. All right, let's move on to 94. Another shout out to Fleer Flair in 1994. Look at this die cut, just the intricate cutout here. That changed the game. Remember when this came out, I was 12 years old in 1994, and anyone out there, just remember where you were or what you were collecting at 12, and you probably have a lot of nostalgia around it still. And it's kind of a magical age of nostalgia. So I'm gonna spend a little bit of time on 94 here, because that was kind of my wheelhouse when I was 12 years old. But I just love this card. This whole hot glove set from 94 Flair is just amazing. And I remember being kind of blown away with these die cuts back in the day. Okay, we'll stay in 94 for a second. The 94 SP, well, we'll go to 94 Leaf Limited. This is another one that kind of changed the game a little bit. 94 Leaf Limited was a beautiful premium set. Talking about premium, I believe this is the first pseudo parallel that was serial numbered. So this is kind of a gold parallel of the base, and I'll call it a pseudo parallel because not every card was available in gold. But this is the Bonds gold parallel that was serial numbered to 10,000, which again, by today's standards, it's like, well, 10,000, what's the point? But this is actually a pretty low population card. It's so condition sensitive that it's really the condition scarcity that's gonna matter on cards like this. Because you can find these, but try to find one in a 9. And that's where the scarcity will really lie in cards like this. But I remember this set being extremely premium, and the golds, similar to a Donruss Elite card, numbered to 10,000, were not easy. And now to have it a 9, it's pretty cool, because I have a lot of nostalgia around these cards. And then along those same lines, in 1994 Pinnacle, they introduced the first Dufex parallel, Pinnacle Museum Collection, and I love these. I mean, we bought so many packs, 94 Pinnacle, when I was 12 years old, and so I have so much nostalgia around this set. But let me look at that Dufex shine on those. Just a beautiful smiling shot of Ken Griffey Jr., but the photography on these 94 Pinnacle cards was always so great. I also have the Randy Johnson here too. Both of the Mariners superstars. But man, these things really hit. And again, these aren't, too plentiful in high grade. But these are some of my favorite 94 inserts of all time right here. 94 Flair Hot Glove, 94 Pinnacle Museum, and 94 Leaf Limited. Just a great little trio right there. And then if we also stay on 94 here, 94 SP, of course, continued to innovate. The big rookie of 94 was Alex Rodriguez. So you had the 94 SP foil, A-Rod rookie card. This is definitely his premier rookie card, much like the 93 was the Derek Jeter. The 94 was the A-Rod. So that was a pretty premium set in the innovation era. And then the big insert there that I loved was always the Holoview. So you have the Holoview Blue, which is just beautiful. This kind of hologram effect here with Michael Jordan running down a fly ball here. I just love these Holoviews. That's the Holoview Blue insert. And then you have, of course, the Holoview Red, which also incorporates that die cut that we saw on the Platinum Power in 93. So this is the upgraded, more rare Holoview Red of Tony Gwynn. Again, just beautiful technology that they were using 30 years ago. I mean, it's hard to believe, but 1994 was 30 years ago. I mean, it doesn't sound right to me either, but here's some beautiful examples of 1994 SP. The Alex Rodriguez foil rookie card, and then a couple Holoview examples here. But I mean, the Upper Deck was definitely innovating in the 90s. And that's one thing I miss in the modern hobby is Upper Deck, in making baseball cards, licensed baseball cards. And I wish someday they could bring back some of these designs. All right. And then staying on track here with Finest. 1994 Finest, second year of Finest. Here's a beautiful base refractor, well, base card refractor of Pudge Rodriguez. Just a beautiful Mint 9 example. Just a great, glorious example of an early refractor. I believe this is Pudge's second refractor ever, because I think he was in the 93 set. So this is his second refractor ever. And this is back in the day where, you had one refractor a year. This is Pudge Rodriguez's only refractor in 94. And that's how it was back then, one refractor, not a million different refractors and a million different sets. And then here's another example of a 94 refractor. This is the Greg Maddux. This is a different design, but it's the same set. So just a beautiful example of that one. Second year refractor for Maddux. These are all pretty low population. I'm gonna put pop numbers up, as you can see, as we go here, just so you can see how the pops kind of are eerily similar to pre-war. And that's one thing I like about this era, is you have very low populations, especially when you get to high grades, but really in any grade, these populations are pretty low, which again, that's why I've really prioritized this in the last year, picking up some of these nostalgic early refractors of these top 50 type players. Because they don't grow on trees, especially at high grade. And if you've ever submitted 90s cards for grading, you'll realize that PSA grades these really hard. So it's really hard to get a 9 on cards like this. Any number of things can prevent a 9, like a refractor line or a little bit of hulking or greening on the refractor. Any flaw on the surface would bring it down to an 8 or a 7 or a 6. So really hard to find these in this kind of a grade. All right. And maybe my favorite refractor set of 94 was Bowman's Best. And these are some beautiful examples of 94 Bowman's Best refractors. Here you have Tony Gwynn in a 9. Just a glorious example of Tony Gwynn. This is the first year of Bowman's Best. So I think that's pretty significant in the hobby. It's like Bowman's Best is a set they still make. And so this is from the first year of Bowman's Best, the very first Bowman's Best refractors. This is Barry Bonds. These are examples of red refractors, which they generally made the red ones of the veteran players. And then this is one that's not a refractor, but it's an example of one that I got signed by Larry Walker at a Pirates game back in the day. There's kind of a funny story about that one. I posted this on Instagram a couple days ago, so if you want to read about that story, check out my Instagram page, because I generally share more cards on Instagram than I do on YouTube. But that's a beautiful signed copy of Larry Walker's base card from 94 Bowman's Best. And then, so they had the veterans in red, and then they had like the rookie players in blue, or the prospect guys in blue. So this is a Chipper Jones 94 Bowman's Best refractor in a 9. But really an early Chipper, really before he became a regular player in Major League Baseball. But these are very tough in high grade. So there's a few beautiful examples of 94 Bowman's Best refractors. A design you see recycled over and over again, and probably will see these designs recycled over and over again in finest flashbacks releases in the modern hobby. But these are the originals, and I think these originals will always hold up. They will always stand up because they were the first. And so as I'm going through these designs, you probably seen them before on more modern releases because they keep recycling them. Because these designs were so good back in the 90s, and they're too lazy to create new designs. And these were so good and so original that they keep reusing these types of designs in modern releases. All right, moving on. One last thing for 94. Upper Deck's answer to the Topps Gold was the electric diamond. So they had these beautiful electric diamond parallels in 94 Upper Deck. And then you can see just a little electric diamond shininess there at the bottom, and a little bit of shininess on the name. They just designated that above the base cards. And I just have a lot of nostalgia around these electric diamond cards. Really nice, and the photography here in the Griffey is just phenomenal. One of the classic images of Griffey. And then one more electric diamond from 94. It's a really beautiful Michael Jordan with that electric diamond at the bottom there. And a 9, one of those ones I've had for a while. So these are my top 3 favorite 94 electric diamonds. And now I think we're ready to move on to 95. Sorry, 94 was a lot there, because I have a lot of nostalgia for 1994. 95, let's get right into the finest. And these two, I paired these for a reason. We have Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens, 1995 finest refractors. And I think it's kind of funny, the two guys that you kind of associate, the two greatest PED linked players in baseball history, and they're both here on 1995 finest refractors. And this is a thing of beauty. These are just so hard to find, again, in high grade. These pops are all pretty low, and I just love these cards. The 95 finest, a design that gets recycled over and over again. But here's Clemens, one of the greatest pitchers of all time. And Barry Lamar Bonds, one of the greats of his time, or any time for that matter. But this is really the wheelhouse of Topps finest right here. They're really hitting their stride in 95. And it's really hard to find these in high grade. Okay, and then moving on to Bowman's Best. I always have a weak spot for Bowman's Best. As much as I love finest, These Bowman's Best designs are phenomenal. So you have Vlad Guerrero's Senior's first rookie card here. I'd say his most premium rookie card. He has a base Bowman, but this is considered his kind of premium rookie card in Bowman's Best. I wish I had the Refractor, but that's a little bit above my pay grade. So I'm very happy just having the base card in 9, the base Vlad rookie card in 9. And leading up to the Refractor here, this is one that I got signed at a ball game. Manny Ramirez signed this for me outside Three River Stadium one day, and I'll always remember that experience meeting Manny Ramirez. And just a beautiful signature on there. It graded a 10 with PSA. Also in that 95 Bowman's Best set. And then finally, last but not least, my Refractor. Always been one of my favorite refractors in my collection. I mean, look at that shine, that Ripken 95 Bowman's Best Refractor. And this means a lot to me because that was the year that he broke Lou Gehrig's consecutive games record. It was 95. And so carries a lot of hobby significance to me. And again, just hits the wheelhouse. I was 13 years old when this came out. I was really big on Cal Ripken. I watched that Lou Gehrig game in September and bawled my eyes out. But definitely one of my favorite refractors of all time. With the 95 Bowman's Best Ripken Refractor. So that's what I have for 95 Bowman's Best. And then moving on to 96. Let's start with where we left off, Ripken. So this is my Ripken 96 finest refractor, gold refractor. I've had this in my collection for 25 years. I remember 30 years, almost 30 years. Whenever it came out, I think it was probably 97 when I actually got this card. It was considered the best card in my collection, and it was for many years the best card in my collection. And so it still carries a lot of heaviness, a lot of weight in my collection because for a long time I always considered this my best card. And I mean, who better to be on a card entitled Gamers than Cal Ripken? I mean, that's exactly what Cal Ripken was, a gamer. So it's another reason I love that card. And then my second 96 finest was a gold of Randy Johnson. And again, if Ripken and Gamer go right together, then Randy Johnson and Intimidators, right? I mean, could you think of a better way to describe either one of these guys? The Intimidator and the Gamer? Yeah, so that's really cool. And just what a beautiful card. So shiny. Then my final card for 96 is from the Bowman's Best set. And this is the Bowman's Best Griffey Refractor. Not to be confused with the previews, which are much more common, much easier to come by. This is the standard Bowman's Best Griffey Refractor, which is very shiny and very beautiful. Just shows a beautiful mid-swing shot of Griffey. And I haven't really shared many of these at all on YouTube before, so most likely a lot of these you've never seen because I've never showed them. And I'll probably eventually be posting these on Instagram in the coming weeks, but for a lot of these cards, this is the first time I'll be showing these. I think I have shown this one before, but a lot of these I've never shown before. Like this one, this unit, I've definitely never shown that one before. All right, so that's 96. And on a side note, 96 is also the year they started introducing these beautiful on-card auto sets, like Leaf Signature in 96, Leaf Signature Extended, 96. You had Donruss Signature in 97. Donruss Signature in 98. So you had just beautiful on-card autograph sets being introduced starting in 96 and then carries through to today. But this was just one of those avenues in the innovation era that I wanted to highlight without really highlighting. But that's probably going to be a topic of a future video. I don't want to get too off topic here, but just some examples of some beautiful on-card autographs that were being released as complete sets, you know, like you get an autograph per pack. That was something new in the 90s too. Just wanted to give that a quick shout out because I love a lot of those sets from the 90s, the on-card autograph sets from the 90s. But moving on, staying on track here, I could go forever on these, but 97 Bowman's Best. This is my representative for the 97 Bowman's Best set. This is the International Refractor of Mariano Rivera. And I love this one because it has the Panamanian flag in the background. Really showcases some of his heritage. And this is kind of right from his prime. 97 Bowman's Best, just a beautiful shiny card of Mariano, the best closer of all time. Okay, that's Mariano. 97 Finest. We have, let's see, a bronze refractor of Pedro Martinez. Again, perfect moniker for him, Hurlers. This is Pedro, I think his final year with the Expos. And he would go to the Red Sox after that. It's just a beautiful refractor and a 9 for Pedro Martinez. Shout out to Adam of Splendid Sports. And then one more refractor in 97 is Gregory Allen Maddox. Shout out to my brother, Hi Pop Professor. He actually gifted this card to me a few months back. And this looks like a little surface issue here, but it actually isn't. It's just pressure from the case on the card that has created that little illusion of it being a surface defect, but it's not. Anyway, but that's in the 9. Just a beautiful silver refractor. Finest Masters, again, who better to exemplify what a master craftsman is than Greg Maddox? But this is prime Maddox in 97. And I love how vast majority of these refractors that I'm showing, these are from prime playing days. These are, these guys were in their prime during this period here. And I like that aspect of this, innovation era. Might as well showcase the premier players of that era. Okay. Staying with 97, here we have the 97 Bowman Chrome set. This is not a refractor, I wish it was, but this is the Adrian Beltre rookie card in the International Parallel. This is actually mislabeled on the slab, which means I got it much cheaper than I should have, but I'll probably get this reholdered at some point for free, because when PSA makes an error like this, they'll fix it for free. So I'll probably just get that reholdered for free at some point. But this is the International Parallel, which makes it much rarer, and it's cool because it has the Dominican flag in the background, which, like with Mariano and the Panamanian flag, it's kind of cool to have some of that heritage of that particular player, displayed in the background of the card. Just gives it a little bit more character, a little bit more flair. But that's a really cool Adrian Beltre rookie card. New Hall of Famer, first ballot Hall of Famer. And then for the refractors here, most of you know that my brother and I used to know Sean Casey back in high school, and we used to go down and hang out with him. He grew up down the block from us in Pittsburgh. But this is a really nice example of the 1997 Bowman Chrome refractor set with Sean Casey featured here. This was Sean Casey's first Bowman card this year, the second year, but his first Bowman card. And that's a beautiful example of the shine of the 97 Bowman Chrome refractors. And then at the National this year, my brother and I actually came across the International refractor in a mint 9 in a stack of these. And we looked through hoping to find the Casey, and there it was. So just a beautiful example of that with the American flag in the background, obviously. But just, these 90s refractors just hit different. But that's the 97 Bowman Chrome. All right, we'll stay with 97. Actually, this is one more I'll show. It's not a refractor, but this is an example of the 97 Finest embossed. Another one that's mislabeled, actually, and consequently, I got it much cheaper than I should have. It was just labeled 97 Finest, not embossed. And you can see that there is an embossed Barry Bonds and an embossed Power there. And so it's much rarer than the base, and designated as rare on the back here. And so I'm gonna get that reholdered too, and PSA will pay for it because they messed up. So I'll probably send both of those together, this Beltre and this Bonds, and get them both reholdered for free because the PSA mislabeled them. But I always like this image of Bonds and the Power, of course. What better exemplifies Barry Bonds than the word Power? So I love that one. Okay, that concludes 1997. And on to 98. Let's go with the 98 Bowman's Best refractor of Derek Jeter. And these are just beautiful cards, just beautiful and elegant. And these are when they started numbering these this year, and this is numbered out of 400. So 98 is really when they started serial numbering these refractors, which adds another level of scarcity, where I guess you know what the scarcity is, you know what the print run is. But that's a beautiful shot of Jeter. 98. And then here's another beautiful 98 card, the 98 Bowman Chrome International of Ken Griffey Jr. And this is one that I picked up at the National this past year. Did not expect to see it. Not one you see a lot, but it has that beautiful international, road map in the back that features Pittsburgh, Denora, Cleveland, basically the area I grew up in. So that's one reason I really like this card. But it's another good example of the 98 Bowman design. So that is 98. And then really the last set that I'm going to highlight here is the 99 Bowman's Best set, because I really do like that set. I think the other sets kind of trail off for me a little bit. I'm not as big a fan of Finest after 97, really. Not as big a fan of Bowman Chrome after 98. And I'm really not that big of a fan of Bowman's Best after 99, but this is the last year of Bowman's Best that I really kind of remember and am nostalgic, and I like the design. This is the 99 Bowman's Best A-Rod refractor, and this is also numbered out of 400. Just a beautiful shot of A-Rod crouched in a defensive pose. This is BGS 9.5 on this one. Really great etching. You can see on this, kind of etched all over the outline of A-Rod. They don't do that much on cards anymore. Just that glorious etching really comes through really well. And again, these are numbered out of 400. And that's kind of like where my refractor project concludes. After that, I feel like they aren't innovating as much. It's a period where I wasn't collecting as much new product after that. I was focusing more on all-time greats and Hall of Fame autographs and things like that. So that's kind of when my nostalgia sort of trails off a little bit. So I'm not a completist by any means. I just try to stick with what I love in the hobby, what brings me joy, what brings me nostalgia, and also does it check all my boxes, Is it iconic? Is it a top 50, top 60 player? Does it have eye appeal? Is it a card that I like the look of? Is it important historically? Does the set matter in the annals of hobby history? And is it scarce? Is there some level of scarcity to it? And if it hits all those boxes, then that's what gets me excited. And that's why I was so excited for this video, because I feel like so many of these cards hit all those boxes for me. So thank you for sharing in my joy. Whether this was your type of thing or not, I hope you gained something out of it, whether it was just being entertained with some new designs that you hadn't really ever seen or appreciated before, or if you are already quite familiar with this era, you probably enjoyed just the nostalgia going through, the sets that you remember from when you were younger. Whatever you gained out of it, I'm glad you gained something. I hope you gained something. And until next time, keep collecting and stay iconic.